We'll start with that Oilers-Avalanche series. Edmonton wins the Battle of Alberta in 5 games. Colorado dispatches St. Louis in 6 games, and now find themselves as minus 250 favorites to advance to the Western Conference Finals over the Oilers, who are plus 200 on the series line. The money line for game 1, all these games, I believe, will be the night games will be Eastern time, starts at 8 p.m. The Oilers, though, they're plus 155 for game 1. Avalanche minus 185 at home. The over-under already at 7. An interesting matchup from a couple different perspectives, but I want to start with the goaltending, which is a couple of weeks ago, if you said that Mike Smith would be the A side in a matchup against the Avalanche and Darcy Kemper, you'd probably be called crazy, but that's what we're looking at. Like Smith actually gives Colorado a little bit of an advantage in a matchup against Kemper, who didn't really cover himself with glory in that Blue series.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Smith, if you asked me like just a few months ago, like me and him never got along, but I mean, he's you really got to give him credit. He's not an elite goaltender, but the guy's a fighter. He's gonna have games where just bad, terrible games. We saw in game 1 in the Calgary series, just bad, terrible goals he'll give up within a game. We saw game 1 in the LA series, right? So, but his numbers were not bad in that Calgary series, even though he gets a bad rap for like the amount of goals he gives up and all the nonsense he does. Like, he battled back. He gave the Oilers a chance to win that series, and he outplayed Jacob Markstrom. Now, with that, there's a lot to be said about Markstrom's health, and we speculated on his fatigue. He clearly wasn't 100%, but now he's going up against Kemper. We've talked about Kemper, where he's a streaky goalie. Who's to say that he doesn't go on a downswing here, right? Which gives the Oilers an edge in goal, right? So I mean, yeah, like he gives them enough of a chance to hang in there in this series.
And of course, when you're dealing with a disparity between two teams like we're dealing with here, Edmonton and Colorado, you need to win the goal. It's a requirement for the underdog to win the goaltending battle, which is why I wanted to start with that, because I think, okay, if we both agree Edmonton can win that goaltending battle, then we look at the rest of the matchup here, and I do think the odds look, they're close to being, I think you could probably call them fair. Colorado really hasn't done anything besides Kemper's a little wobble here. Hasn't really done anything to show that the market should be down on them at all. But let's remember that this Oilers team under Jay Woodcroft went 26-9-3, I believe, in his 38 games. Whatever the record was, they played at 119 point pace, and the Colorado Avalanche ended the regular season with 119 points. And that's not me saying that these two teams are peers. Like, they're not. We know Colorado's better, but when you look at the long-term form of this Oilers team, a team that you have been riding basically since the Woodcroft move, and even a little before that, like, the gap just isn't as wide as I think the odds are implying. And that's why I think paying, getting plus 155 or plus 200, if you want to bet the series line, is a good enough price to find out just, what this goaltending matchup could spit out.
Yeah. And I would completely agree with that too. And like, also, like, we know what we're going to get out of McDavid and Draisaitl. We know what we're going to get out of McKinnon and Landeskog and the top line. But then you start going down the rosters, right? If you were to look at these two teams, you would say automatically that Colorado has more depth on the forwards. They can roll their lines better in terms of getting production. But you look at what Hyman did last series. You look at what Nugent Hopkins did last series, right? So if Edmonton is getting that secondary support, they'll be right there. Of course, Colorado has the advantage of Kyle McCarr, which, I mean, it's just a weapon, like not only secondary scoring, but production from the back end. So I think that it's not a great matchup for Edmonton, but if you look at the odds, I agree with you in the sense that there should not be this much of a gap in terms of the odds for this series.